Okay, so it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Martin Sabarsky. He's the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer of HR BioPetroleum, a renewable energy technology company located in San Diego, California. Mr. Sabarsky is testifying today on behalf of Biotech Industry Organization. Bio is the world's largest biotechnology organization with more than 1,200 members. Welcome.
Good morning.
The gentleman will be recognized for 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chairwoman Velasquez, Ranking Member Graves, members of the committee staff, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Martin Sabarsky, and I am the Chief Financial and Operating Officer of HR BioPetroleum, a Hawaii-based biotechnology company focused on developing algae-based products such as next-generation biofuels. I'm privileged to be here on behalf of the Biotechnology Industry Organization, representing more than 1,200 member companies and nonprofit institutions in all 50 states that are involved in healthcare, as well as agricultural, environmental, and industrial biotechnology. I'm here to convey our strong support of the Small Business Early Stage Investment Act of 2009. As indicated in my testimony submitted for the record, this bill addresses a long-standing problem in the biotechnology industry in which venture capital firms have become increasingly reluctant to fund promising early-stage research beyond the basic research stage and before the revenue generation stage. In the biotech industry, we refer to this phase as the valley of death, which sounds perhaps melodramatic, but is a real dynamic that has been exacerbated greatly since the onset of the financial crisis last year. At the same time, advancing science through the valley of death has never been more important as we strive to create a 21st century economy, create new jobs, become more energy independent, and develop promising biotech therapies, all of which are critical priorities. Part of the challenge in developing innovative new biotech technologies and products is that it's extremely time and capital intensive. The substantial costs and timelines involved in drug development are well known. Perhaps less well known, however, is that the pre-commercial development of advanced biofuel technologies is also a capital and time-intensive process and is estimated to cost anywhere from $100 to $300 million and take 5 to 10 years. My company, HR BioPetroleum, is but one small business within the emerging biofuels industry that has the potential to benefit from this important legislation. Studies have shown that successful development in America of biofuels such as biodiesel from algae could result in the equivalent of 7.9 million barrels of oil being produced per day by 2050, virtually eliminating our need for gasoline. The widespread use of biofuels could also reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 1.7 billion tons per year, equal to more than 80% of transportation-related emissions in 2002. The benefits are clear, the early-stage research is promising, but as we sit here today, the private equity capital to make new investments to drive these programs forward aggressively is largely sitting on the sidelines. In fact, in a recent press release, the National Venture Capital Association reported that venture funds raised in the third quarter of 2009 are at a 15-year low. Investments in clean technology companies such as my own were down 48% in the first quarter of 2009 alone. My presently unsuccessful attempts to raise private equity financing for HR BioPetroleum over the past 12 months, despite a promising technology and significant corporate achievements, are instructive. By 2005, despite having no venture capital funding, my company had successfully demonstrated a proprietary process to grow algae at industrial scale in Hawaii. Based on these positive results in 2007, we were able to successfully enter into an industry-leading joint venture with Royal Dutch Shell called Solana, the initial focus of which is to build and operate a new facility in Hawaii to demonstrate the economics of integrated algae and algal oil production. In 2008, in large part on the strength of this joint venture, we signed memoranda of understanding with Hawaiian Electric, Maui Electric, and Alexander & Baldwin to develop a commercial algae facility on Maui. Despite these accomplishments, however, we were unable to complete a private equity financing that fell through a year ago this month as a direct result of the current financial crisis. Our subsequent attempts to attract venture capital investment have not yet borne fruit, due, I believe, to venture funds becoming even more hesitant to take technology risks within my industry at the same time that many of their traditional funding sources have backed off or backed out of venture investing. R&D programs through our Solana joint venture continue, however, but most of our industry peers are not so fortunate. Many have less than 12 months of cash, and some have had to discontinue operations entirely. Hence, this pending legislation is even more critical to addressing the structurally inadequate funding environment that exists today and has for some time. Other complementary programs, such as the loan guarantee and grant programs through the Department of Energy and Department of Agriculture, are important adjuncts to this pending legislation. But these programs are simply not available to small businesses that don't already have the sufficient equity capital to satisfy the mandated cost share or minimum equity requirements. This is a real Gordian knot that can only be cut by providing additional equity capital to address this problem, as the pending bill would provide. In closing, to ensure that the U.S. remains the world leader in biotechnology research and development, investment in early-stage biotechnology companies needs to be fostered. BIO believes that providing incentives for additional investment in small biotechnology companies is the most effective approach for SBA to support these high-risk, high-reward companies. Thank you all for the opportunity to talk to you today about HR Biopetroleum and the promise of biofuels, as well as how the Small Business Early Stage Investment Act of 2009 could provide critical investment dollars required to develop biotech products that would benefit the public. I look forward to addressing any questions you may have.